challenges, struggles, hardships, pain. No matter what stage of life you're in, you're going to encounter one or all of these things. Most likely all of these things. So when you're confronted with a challenge, will you give up? Will you stop chasing after what it is you want, what it is you're going after? Or will you decide instead to jump over the barrier, to dig a hole under the barrier, to circle around the barrier in order to get to the other side? No matter how you answer that question, in today's video, I'm gonna give you a 5-step strategy that will help you to process any issue and overcome any obstacle that comes your way. Let's get right to it. I'm Brandon Eastman with BeBetterIndustries.com, and on this YouTube channel, we talk about how to perform at your peak so that you can amplify your levels of success. So if you're into becoming more successful in your own life, then hit the subscribe button here and hit the bell. That way you're notified of all new videos that we release every single Monday. And while you're down there, help out the channel and get this video shown to more people by hitting the like button here. That way more people can see the 5-step strategy to processing issues and overcoming obstacles in their own life. And recently, I just finished reading this book here by Patrick Bet-David called Your Next 5 Moves. And if you haven't heard of Patrick Bet-David, then you gotta look him up. Patrick Bet-David is the CEO of the PHP Agency. He owns a large insurance company with thousands of agents across the country. I think they're in every state now. And Patrick is also the creator of the Valuetainment YouTube channel, which is a channel all about helping entrepreneurs and business owners up their game and improve. I think they're one of the top entrepreneurship channels on YouTube. But this book here, Your Next 5 Moves, it's all about mastering the art of business strategy. And it's not even just for business owners. This is also for people and leaders inside of companies, and it's for intrapreneurs inside of organizations just as much as it's for entrepreneurs as well. So I'm going to take this book, I'm going to put the link here in the description below. I don't make any money when you buy this book, but I know it will help you, so click the link and get yourself a copy. And one of the chapters in this book is all about processing issues and problems. And I had to make a video to talk about the 5 steps that Patrick Bet-David talks about. Now in the book, he doesn't necessarily lay it out step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I took a lot of the principles and I organized them in a way that makes sense and can be digested by more people. So check it out. When it comes to processing issues, Patrick Bet-David says the first thing that you gotta do when you're confronted with a challenge or an obstacle or anything that's in your way is you have to stop and take responsibility. You've got to take what Jocko Willink calls extreme ownership for what has happened to you. Because think about it. You might have an issue or a barrier such as you want to buy something but you don't have enough money, or one of your leaders in the company quits on you, or you were just laid off from your job, your kid got sent home from school with a note from the principal. Like, there's so many different challenges and obstacles that happen. But what power do you have to solve that issue if you don't first take responsibility? If you don't take responsibility, you've got no ground to stand on. I remember I worked with an individual who was helping us out with our new hire program in the sales company that I work with. And he helped us out for a long time, and he's a great guy, and he was great help to us. But he had what's called a customer escalation. He had a problem back in the store where he worked as a leader. And because of this problem, he was taken out of our new hire program as a sort of punishment in a way. The problem with this is he didn't take responsibility for the problem that happened. He said, oh, it's the customer's fault. Oh, the company shouldn't have done this. Oh, if the program was this way, then I never would have gotten taken out of it and I would have been able to keep doing what I'm doing. And we just kept saying to him, listen, man, nothing's gonna change for you until you take responsibility. Because only when you take responsibility for a problem or an issue that you're looking to process and make your way over or through can you find the solution that will allow you to do that. And once this individual that I worked with actually took responsibility for what has happened to him, or should we say, what has happened for him, He finally made his way back into the program. It took him six to 8 months, I believe, for him to make his way back. But that only happened. That forward momentum was only there after he realized that he was the reason that he was in the situation he was in. If your child gets sent home from school, rather than blaming the principal and blaming the school, what about your parenting? What about the hard conversation you had to have with your child to teach them the right way to go about things, to teach them your values, the values that you laid out for them that they might have crossed over and created their own values in a way? You got to take responsibility. No matter the problem, you will only be able to seek change and overcome that obstacle once you can sit down and ask yourself the question, what choice or decision did I make that led to this problem occurring? And only once you can ask that question and find a few answers can you move on to the second step in the strategy. So step one, it's so important that I have to repeat it. You gotta take responsibility for the challenges that you are facing, because everything that is happening to you right now is a result of your thinking, or it's a result of your actions, or it's a result of your inactions. You didn't do something, therefore this happened. So take responsibility for where you are at in life. Don't blame your country, don't blame your job, don't blame your company, your kids, your family. You are the only person that is to blame. And this is difficult. You might be watching me right now and saying, Brandon, what the heck do you know? And the answer to that is, compared to everything I could know, not much. But what I do know from my life is things only got better for me once I told myself, I'm the reason I'm 60 pounds overweight. I am the reason I'm $20,000 in credit card debt. And only once I came to that conclusion was I able to take the actions needed in order to get myself out of that situation. So step one is to take responsibility for the challenge that you're facing. Step two, when it comes to processing issues and overcoming obstacles, is to rate the problem that you're facing on a scale of 1 to 10. And this is very important because sometimes we are faced with a problem that we want to say, this is easily a 10 out of 10. And to those people, I ask them the question, did somebody very close to you die? Did you just lose your house in a bonfire? Did you just lose a loved one? Did this drastic event happen to you? And usually the answer is no. Usually the answer is, I was laid off from work, which could be a big deal. But there's always other jobs, there's always other companies, there's always other options. So when you rate your situation on a scale of 1 to 10, it's important not to overinflate things. It's important not to make this picture in your mind of what's happened to you bigger than it really is. Because if you take a small problem and you make it a lot bigger than it is, then you make it a lot more difficult for you to overcome that problem mentally and emotionally. But on the flip side of things, if you take a big problem, a drastic issue, like your company just closed and that day you went to work, they told you, Brandon, you gotta go home. We can't afford to pay you because this whole territory is closed for this job that you're in. Then that might be an 8 out of 10, but you might be cool, calm, collected, and you might say, oh, this is no big deal. I'll apply for McDonald's, I'll apply for Burger King, and I'll figure it out. And you now rate a problem that's an 8 out of 10 as a 3 out of 10. And as a result, you might not have as much urgency when it comes to finding a new job. You might have children that you've got to feed. You might have a roof that you've got to pay for to keep it over your head. So you gotta accurately rate your problem or your issue on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you have a hard time rating your issue, you can post it in the comments below and I can help you come up with what that rating should be. And I'll even help you overcome that issue because that's what I love to do. But if you don't want to comment it, then ask a friend that you trust. Ask a family member or a colleague or a mentor that you trust to help you rate this problem. That's step number 2. Now, once you take responsibility and rate your problem on a scale of 1 to 10, then the third step to processing any issue and solving any problem that you encounter, what I found works great is to create 3 plans for how you're going to overcome this issue. Grab a journal or a notebook, write out 1, 2, and 3, and write down 3 different ways that you can see right now in your mind's eye that you can solve this issue. If you were laid off, maybe you can find a different job in a similar field. If your child was expelled from school, maybe you can find a different school and you can figure out transportation and all that stuff. If you are currently 60 pounds overweight and you need to lose weight, then maybe you can write down the different gyms you can go to or the different workout routines that you can start doing. Okay, so write down 3 separate plans for how you can solve this problem. It's very good for you as an individual to have options for what you can do. There is never only one way to do something. There's always many different ways that you can complete an objective or reach a goal. So write down 3 different options. And if your problem includes some kind of money or a lot of time that's involved, then one of your proposals or solutions to that problem should be money related. Maybe you can pay for this problem to go away. Or maybe you could spend your time to take care of that issue. So make sure 1 or 2 of your problems are time specific, money specific, if those are an option for you. So step 3 to solving any problem and processing any issue is to create 3 proposals or different solutions that you can use, which leads you to step number 4 of this strategy, which is to write down everything and anything that could go wrong with each of your proposals. So take each of these solutions that you now wrote down, and underneath them or next to them, write down, what is the worst case scenario if I follow this strategy? So you got laid off from a job and you got to find a new one. Well, the worst case scenario might be you don't find a new job in time and you're evicted from your home or your apartment and you're homeless, or you're living in your car, or maybe you have family that you can go and stay with. That would be your worst case scenario. In his book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie, he talks about always knowing what your worst case scenario is when it comes to any kind of worries or anxiety. If you know the worst thing that can happen to you, then usually the problem that you're facing isn't as big as you might think. Usually we take a problem and we make it a lot larger than life than it really is. So next to each of those 3 proposals, or more if you wrote down more, that's fine too, write down the worst case scenario that could happen as a result of your proposal, which leads you to the final step to processing any issue, which is step number 5. And that is to take action on your proposal. Look at those 3 proposals that you wrote down, those 3 solutions to your problem, and just start doing things that will lead you in the direction to overcoming that obstacle. The thing is, your challenges are never going to go away. You're always going to be presented with obstacles and challenges, and you're going to have to overcome them. It's just a part of life. Life isn't easy. Life is a challenge. Imagine if life wasn't a challenge and every day you woke up and everything was just peaches and happiness and success, and that's just not how it works. For you to become the person that you were meant to become, you have to be faced with challenges. You have to be faced with issues. I wouldn't be here speaking with you right now if I didn't have to overcome all the challenges that I faced in my own life. I wouldn't be motivated to stand here in front of this camera and speak to you directly. I just wouldn't. So all these challenges and problems that you're facing, what if they were meant to be? What if you were designed to go through this very problem that you're going through right now, no matter how difficult it is? And believe me, there's a lot of difficult problems out there. I don't mean to make them sound smaller. There are some 10 out of 10 issues. But what if those issues were molding you into the individual that you were meant to be? Whether you're religious, whether you have faith, it doesn't matter. The reality is your challenges are shaping you into who you were meant to become. So step 5 is to take one of those solutions, not all 3 of them, just one of them, and start taking action immediately towards a solution to that problem. And check it out. What if one of those solutions doesn't work? What can you do? You can start with the next ones. You can go to number 2, number 3, and you can continue working through those solutions until your obstacle is in the dust, until you overcome it. And you will find so much more success behind that obstacle than you would have ever had if there was no obstacle at all. So, again, you want to pick up Patrick's book, because step 1 to processing any issue is to take responsibility. Step 2 is to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Step 3 is to create 3 proposals that you can do to solve that problem. Step 4 is to write down the worst case scenario, and step 5 is to take action on those goals. Pick up Patrick's book. I'll put a link in the description for you. Remember, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. That way you see all new videos every single Monday, and hit that like button right down here. Go ahead and hit it right now while I'm watching you, just so this video can be shown to more people who want to overcome obstacles in their own life. And until we speak again next time, continue to be better.